So I grew up nowhere because I have lived everywhere. I started in New Jersey, and then when I was very young, my family moved me to Hawaii. We lived in Maui, which was absolutely gorgeous. And then we moved to California, and eventually we made our way back to the East Coast. So I lived in New York City, I lived in Philly, I went there for college, I lived in DC. I eventually made my way back to California, and now I'm in Louisiana. So home for me is literally everywhere. Working in New York City was the biggest dream come true. As someone who works in TV, that's where you want to end up, right? You want to end up in the Big Apple. And I got to work for both Fox News and NBC News, who were literally across the street from each other. And I was a producer, I was doing segments, I was a field producer, I was a booking producer. I literally did everything behind the scenes. And doing things as a producer and being behind the scenes for national, it really made such a big difference in being an anchor, because when you come to the front, you already know what goes on behind the scenes. And I'm so grateful for my experience in New York City because it made me tough. You know, I got to work under the best talent in the country, and I couldn't have seen my career here without that background. So the way I got into broadcast journalism is actually a really interesting story. So I've always loved communication, right? Since I was a little girl, my mom told me I talk way too much. And then I got into college and people said, you know, you should go into a stable career. So I tried education, I tried occupational therapy, and I remember being in those classes and it didn't necessarily feel like it was me, although they were absolutely great careers, right? And then it came to my general education course in college. It was just communications, and I remember my professor having me just give a generic speech, and I got up there and I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. So now I changed my major to communications, and while I was studying communications, I ended up being one of 10 hand-selected student leaders from across the country sent to Israel on scholarship. And the mission of the organization was to give tomorrow's leaders an educated heart for Israel. So I was like, oh cool, I'm going to study abroad. And when I was out there, I realized how many issues in the world I was just so unaware of. And I made sure when I came back to America, I was like, I want to dedicate my life to not only informing myself, but informing others. And I already knew that I loved communications, right? I loved speaking in front of people, I loved writing, but it was really my trip in Israel that made me decide I'm going to shift gears and go into news. And as soon as I got back to America, I applied to a bunch of news organizations, and CNBC hired me as an intern, and that was the beginning of broadcast journalism. So one of my biggest inspirations is actually a fictional character. It's Elle Woods from Legally Blonde. Because growing up, I was someone who loved, you know, being fun and bubbly. I love the color pink, but at the same time, I also love serious things. I love caring about world issues. You know, I'm in news, and I feel like people are always expected to be one or the other. You're expected to be bubbly and fun, or you're expected to be serious. And I saw that movie, and I was like, you can be both. Maybe it's a fictional movie, but you can be both. And I told myself, embrace both sides. You don't have to choose one. So I'm just legally brunette. So not gonna lie, waking up this early is very hard. I have worked every shift in the industry, right? Because I've been in TV, I believe, for like 6 or 7 years now. I work the overnight shift, I work weekends, that's what TV is. But the overnight shifts, when you are in at 2 a.m., it is a little bit tough. So not gonna lie, my Alexa has an alarm set for 1 a.m., 1:05 a.m., 1:10 a.m., 1:15 a.m. And trust me, I need at least like 7 or 8 to get me up. But you know, once you get in and you feel the energy of the newsroom, it really like just sets off this precedent that you're like ready to go. And there's something really beautiful about morning TV, because when you are doing morning TV, you're like everyone's human cup of coffee. People want to wake up and be happy, and you know, bringing that to the community is something that I'm honestly so honored to do, because that's what differentiates morning TV from all the other shifts that I've ever done. Because you know, when I used to do like the primetime hours, you know, people were coming back from their workday, they were tired, and then they were ready for some more serious news. And now I get to wake up with people, and honestly, I absolutely adore it. Okay, so I am so excited to anchor with Fernanda. You have no idea. So we actually already met while she was on maternity leave. She invited me to her house for a crawfish boil, which was completely new to me. They taught me literally how to like break the crawfish. Yeah, so she definitely helped engulf me into the culture, and I know us together, we're gonna be amazing on air together. I mean, literally, let's just Fernanda and Jessamine. Is that not such a spicy morning news title? I can't wait.